Hello everyone, I said I would make you a video about feeding birds in your gardens and identifying birds and all sorts of things. So I'm going to give you a bit of background to me first of all. I'm Aileen, I'm one of the admins in the group, and I grew up out in the Trossachs, but I had like one neighbour and it was like 6 miles to the nearest house after that, so it was an absolute fantastic childhood. You couldn't imagine better. There was no such thing as stranger danger and all that back then. My dad was in the Forestry Commission for 46 years until he retired, so I have been wildlife daft since I was popped out. Birds in your garden are just the easiest way. They're the easiest thing to start off with because they're there. They're always going to be there, and they're just there's a certain amount of birds in your garden, and you'll get used to them after watching them for a certain length of time. At first you start thinking, oh, they're just birds with wings and that's it, but they're not. They're all different. You don't even need a garden. You don't have to have a garden. If you only live in a flat, you can still have birds coming to your window. I used to live in a tenement in Clydebank, and I lived on the third floor, and I had a windowsill, and I had a bird feeder hanging out the windowsill with some peanuts in it, and after a couple of days, I don't know how they know, but they find it and they come up, and you could watch them on your windowsill. You can also get feeders that have got suckers attached to them, little perspex box things that have got suckers attached. They can actually stick on the glass, and you can feed certain birds, and it'll only be little tiny birds that come. They're only small feeders, so you would only get a little small birds that come. One word of warning with that though is just make sure your window is shut, because they can come in your house. I did come home a couple of times to blue tits flying about my kitchen and my cat chasing them, so it's a good idea to keep your window shut. I have also studied, I did an HND in countryside management. I have been an RSPB volunteer, Conservation Work Party volunteer. I have done a bird friendly schools project where I went to schools in the inner cities, and I taught them about how to bring birds to their playgrounds. So it was primary schools, how to bring birds into their playgrounds. So I really enjoyed doing that, so I thought I would do this for you guys, and it might help you out a little bit. I'm no Chris Packham, but I have met him. But I get by, so hopefully if I can show you a couple of things. I've got a couple of props here and I can show you that, and hopefully give you an idea anyway. There's different types of food for different types of birds. Most of the birds you get in your garden will be like small great tits, blue tits, all the finches like chaffinches, green finches, goldfinches, blackbirds, robins, wrens. You get all sorts of things in your garden. So there's different types of food for different types of birds. At this time of year it's really important to feed birds because they're obviously rearing their young at this time of year. The adults spend most of their day flying backwards and forwards feeding their chicks, and they really don't spend a lot of time feeding themselves. So you need to, it's helpful for them to, if you can give them some food, so you actually get food. Now the way that I'm going to hold these, they're all going to look back to front at the moment, so I'll read out what they are to you, and I'll put links for where you can buy all these things in the body of the email down at the bottom. So this is one you can get from Garden Centre. You can get it online as well, and it's actually a spring and summer feed mix. So it's actually got these seeds are a lot smaller. They're little, if you can see them, they're really broken down into little small pieces, so that the parent birds can feed the chicks without actually giving them something that's too big. Don't put whole peanuts out anywhere at this time of year, because birds can actually pick up a whole peanut and try to feed a chick with it and it would choke. So don't put whole peanuts out. You can crush peanuts up, but don't put them out. Or you can have them in feeders. So you can have them hanging in a feeder, but don't put them on a tray, because there's a choke risk for chicks. You can get all sorts of other things. There's one of the most popular things for any type of bird is sunflower hearts. You can't go wrong with sunflower hearts, and you also can't go wrong with any kind of suet pellets, with insects or berries or nuts. You get all sorts of things. If you use suet pellets with berries in them, just make sure you don't put them anywhere on the ground where you can have dogs, not berries, sultanas and things, because they are toxic to dogs. So don't put them on the ground where a dog could possibly eat them. You have another kind of seed called Niger seed, which is like really tiny, thin black seeds, and there's goldfinches, and a lot of the finches like those. and you get a special feeder for those because they're so fine. They would just fall out of a normal feeder. You actually get a really small feeder with tiny, tiny holes in them. They're actually like the seeds of like thistles, the tiny seeds you get on the end of the thistle flower. So that's the best food for them. They're really, really high in energy, and it gives them a really good boost, and they love them. They love those food. So that's a couple of the foods there. You can also buy online, like on eBay, or you can sometimes find them in charity shops. Even you don't need to buy it brand new. Books like something like that. I know it's back to front. Sorry, it's the ultimate bird feeder handbook, and in there it tells you all sorts of everything about why birds need water, how to give them water, what the types of food. Gives you all sorts of recipes you can actually cook for the birds in your gardens. It's good to get kids involved. As I say, you can buy a lot of these foods from Pound Stretchers, B&M, any of these places. You don't have to go online, but you can get the better quality stuff online. Some of the stuff out of like B&M, and they don't always have the best of quality. I bought a big bag of the suet balls, which is like they're basically just suet, but they've got like seeds and everything in them, and you can put oats in them, all sorts of things. They're usually really, really good for the birds, but these ones are rock hard. So I've got a big bag of 50 of them, and I put them in the feeder, and the birds are just like hammering at them and really not getting anywhere with them at all. So you're as well just crushing them up and putting them on the ground or putting them on a bird table. But they're still good. You can make them yourself, but you have to buy suet, not lard, because it will just melt. You have to buy actual suet, and you can mix up seeds, crumbs, biscuit crumbs, any of the seeds that I've shown you. You can mix that in. You melt the suet, and you can mix it all in. You can put it in like a halved coconut shell or a yogurt pot and hang it up with a bit of string on a tree. There's all sorts of like feeders you can get. Like I brought this in to clean it today actually, because it's not been cleaned this week, but it's like a little tray that sits on the ground, and it's so the food doesn't actually sit wet on the ground, so that you can put that there and the birds can actually eat out of that. And you can also get something like this, where you can actually put there's a cage inside that you actually get blocks, like a square of suet that's in a kind of rectangular shape, and you put it inside that, and that stops the bigger birds from getting to it, and you can hang that up in a tree, from a bird table or whatever, from a pole, whatever. Always keep your feeders clean, wash them regularly. You can use an old toothbrush to get in around about it and give it a good clean, in really hot water, soapy water, give it a good clean just to make sure there's no diseases. Some birds, like the greenfinches, are pretty susceptible to certain diseases. I used to have lots of greenfinch came to my garden, and a couple of years ago there was a bout of I think it's trichomoniasis it's called, and it's called fat finch disease, and basically their throats block up with it's like you can only really describe it, it's like a kind of dairy cheesy kind of thing that goes in their throat, and it basically they just can't swallow anything, so they starve to death. So they're called fat finch because they puff themselves up because they're feeling so ill that they puff themselves up to keep warm. So they basically starve to death. It's a horrible, horrible death for them, and it goes on for days. So you really need to keep your feeders and your bird tables and things clean. That is all very well if you do it in your own garden. If you've got neighbours that have feeders as well, and they don't keep their feeders clean, then that's how easily it can spread. You can have the cleanest garden, but if your neighbours don't clean their feeders, the birds go to that, and it's as easy as that. Always have a dish of water as well. It doesn't even have to be a big fancy dish. It can be the lid of one of the Quality Street tubs that you get at Christmas time. You can just put it only needs to be a little bit. You'll still get the pigeons and any of the birds will drink out of that, and they'll have a quick splash about in it, get themselves clean. That can actually be quite good fun to watch as well. So I am actually waiting for the little ground tray that I showed you there. I'm waiting on a Defender cage coming tomorrow, because I don't know what I did with my old one. It's like a big cage that you actually put over the top of that, so that pigeons and things can't get in and steal all the food, because they will just demolish all of your food in minutes, and it will cost you a fortune. So if you've live somewhere where you're susceptible to having pigeons or starlings that will come down and just eat everything, then one of these ground cages is a really good idea. or have a bird table you can get bird tables that actually the roof can move up and down, and you can decide the height of the roof, so that you can only have the smaller birds going in. Or if you haven't got pigeons in your area, then you're fine. It's just that I live in Hollytown and I do have pigeons here. So the ground cage thing will go over the top of the little tray, and I can fill that up with suet pellets or whatever, and the pigeons can't clear it out. So, but at the moment there's a lot of fledgling birds about just now. So there is a lot of noisy birds about, still getting fed by mum and dad. So if you put food out just now, you're got a good chance of being able to see that happening. So what I'll do is I'll make another couple of videos about different things. But if you can give me comments about what you would like to see, or if there's anything in particular that you want me to explain a bit more or show you a bit more of, then I am more than happy to talk about it. I will talk about wildlife until the cows come home. It never bores me. So any questions at all, I am more than happy to give you a help. I hope you found this helpful. It's been my first attempt, so you can moan at me all if it's too long for you. But hopefully I'll get some good reviews, and I hope I've helped you a little bit.